Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something completely invisible, but it literally shapes every single second of our everyday lives. We're talking about the thermal properties of matter. We'll be exploring exactly how things like temperature, thermal expansion, calorimetry, and heat transfer dictate the physical reality around us. It's basically the hidden blueprint of the universe. And honestly, by the time we're done here, you're going to look at everything from a boiling pot of water on your stove to the beating of your own heart just a little bit differently.
So let's kick things off with a question that might actually challenge what you learned back in high school. What if I told you that the phrase heat inside a body is, well, scientifically meaningless? Sounds completely counterintuitive, right? I mean, we talk about things holding heat all the time. But in the world of physics, that phrase is actually a massive misconception. To really understand why, we've got to totally rebuild our definitions right from the ground up.
Here's our roadmap for today. First, we're going to redefine heat versus temperature. Second, we'll look at thermal expansion in matter. Third up is calorimetry and phase changes. Fourth, the modes of heat transfer. And finally, we'll wrap up by exploring the laws of cooling. All right, let's get into it.
Section 1. Heat versus temperature. Redefining the foundations.
Okay, here is the absolutely crucial distinction. Heat is strictly energy in transit. It's the movement. Temperature, on the other hand, is the thermal state of a body. It's the condition that actually dictates that movement. You literally cannot have heat just sitting inside something. What you actually have in there is internal kinetic energy.
Think about two objects next to each other. Heat, which physicists represent with the letter Q, only exists during the active transfer of energy from the high-temperature body, say T1, to the low-temperature body, T2. Temperature is simply the degree of hotness that decides which way the energy is going to flow. Once that energy actually arrives at its destination, boom, it stops being heat and instantly becomes internal energy. And this whole relationship is perfectly mapped out by something called Joule's mechanical equivalent. Basically, mechanical work and heat are functionally interchangeable, linked by a constant, J, which equals 4.18 joules per calorie. So to measure this thermal state, we use thermometry. And whether you're used to Celsius, Kelvin, or Fahrenheit, they all anchor themselves to the exact same things, the freezing and boiling points of water. But here's the best part. Rather than memorizing a dozen different clunky conversion formulas, you only need this single, elegant, universal master key formula to unlock all of them. It's super clean. Moving right along to Section 2, thermal expansion in matter, the physical reaction. Consider the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Now, in the realm of thermal physics, this isn't just some simple counting sequence. It's actually a strict, fixed geometric ratio that entirely governs how the solid objects all around us physically grow when they get heated up. You see, when you heat a solid object, it expands in every direction. If we're talking about a wire, we measure its linear expansion, which we call alpha. If it's a flat sheet, we measure the area expansion, known as beta. And if it's a 3D block, we measure the volume expansion, or gamma. Now, because area expands in 2 dimensions and volume in 3, these expansion coefficients hold a perfectly unbroken mathematical relationship. Alpha to beta to gamma is always, and I mean always, going to be in a ratio of 1 to 2 to 3. It is just a beautiful example of physics perfectly mirroring geometry. But you know, nature absolutely loves to throw us a curveball, and in this case, that curveball happens at exactly 4 degrees Celsius. We call this the anomaly of water. Look, almost everything in the universe expands as it gets hotter, right? But water is special. Unlike pretty much any other liquid, water actually contracts when it's heated from 0 degrees up to exactly 4 degrees Celsius. It hits its absolute minimum volume, which means it reaches its maximum density right at that 4-degree mark. And why does this matter? Well, this density peak is literally a life-sustaining exception to the rules. Because water is densest at 4 degrees, the coldest water sinks, which causes lakes to freeze from the top down instead of the bottom up. That literal anomaly in the laws of expansion is the only thing that preserves aquatic ecosystems safely below the ice all winter long. Mind-blowing, right? All right, Section 3, calorimetry and phase changes, the math of melting. We need to introduce a brand new concept here called latent heat. You might know that specific heat changes a substance's temperature, but latent heat, that's the energy that actively breaks molecular bonds without changing the temperature at all. It's essentially the hidden energy of a phase transition.
You can really see this in action when you map out a calorimetry heating curve. As you constantly add heat to something like ice, the temperature rises. Right, that specific heat doing its thing. But then it hits 0 degrees and just plateaus. The line goes totally flat as it melts. We're still adding heat, but the temperature isn't rising one bit. That heat is acting entirely as latent heat, literally tearing apart those solid molecular bonds. Once it's fully melted, the water warms up, rises to 100 degrees, and boom, plateaus again to boil. So the absolute core rule of phase change here is this: temperature and physical state cannot change at the exact same time. It's always an alternating sequence.
Now, all of this math relies on a really simple, universal truth captured by the principle of calorimetry. Basically, in a perfectly isolated system, think of a highly controlled, closed-off environment like a copper calorimeter. The total heat lost by a hot object will exactly balance out the total heat gained by the cold objects. It acts exactly like a perfectly balanced scale. Energy is completely 100% conserved. Moving on to Section 4, Modes of Heat Transfer, the Great Migration.
To really grasp heat transfer, especially conduction, scientists use this incredibly brilliant translation matrix. We can literally map dense thermal concepts directly onto familiar electrical concepts. So electric current becomes heat current. Voltage, or potential difference, becomes temperature difference. And electrical resistance, that neatly becomes thermal resistance. It makes the math so much easier to digest.
To see that translation actually play out, you just have to compare Ohm's law for electricity with Fourier's law for thermal conduction. Structurally, they are completely identical. Heat flowing through a solid object from the hot face over to the cold face acts exactly like electrical current flowing through a resistor. The math just clicks, especially if you've ever looked at even a basic electrical circuit before.
But hey, heat doesn't just conduct through solids, right? It also moves through fluids via convection, which is the actual physical movement of heated material. And this happens on both a microscopic and a massive cosmic scale. Think about natural convection. The sun heats the equator, that low-density hot air rises, and cooler polar air rushes in to take its place. That's literally what generates the Earth's trade winds. Then, on the flip side, you have forced convection. In human biology, your very own heart acts as a continuous pump, rapidly circulating blood to maintain a steady core body temperature. It actively forces that fluid to move regardless of its density. So, from global weather patterns to your own beating heart, it's the exact same thermal mechanism at work. Pretty incredible.
And that brings us to Section 5, the laws of cooling, the final fade. Let's talk about how things cool down, starting with the Stefan Boltzmann law. This law dictates that the energy emitted by a black body actually scales to its absolute temperature raised to the power of 4. That exponential power of 4 means absolute temperature has an absolutely monumental impact on heat emission. But thankfully for our everyday world, this massive equation simplifies beautifully. When the temperature difference between an object and its surroundings is relatively small, it turns into a direct derivative known as Newton's law of cooling. That's what gives us that classic, highly accurate exponential decay curve we see every single day, like when a hot cup of coffee just naturally cools down in a room. Now, let's move to our final concept here and see exactly how thermal energy dictates the very light we can see. This is called Wien's displacement law, and it effectively shows us the actual color of heat. As temperature increases, the peak of the emission wave explicitly shifts over towards shorter wavelengths. This inverse relationship is exactly why a piece of heated iron transforms visually. It goes from a dull red to a bright yellow, and finally, at its absolute hottest, it glows white hot. The thermal energy is literally dictating the visible spectrum. Which leads us right to a fascinating final thought for this explainer. If Wien's law determines the color of heat and the Stefan Boltzmann law dictates its emission, what does the exact thermal temperature of the universe itself dictate about everything we can actually see? Every star, every planet, and every single cooling ember is bound by these exact same thermal blueprints. I really hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to look a little closer at the invisible thermal machinery running all around you. Until next time, keep questioning and keep learning.